Give it another 30 seconds. And please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat and tell us where you're joining from today. That would be really helpful. Thank you. All right, I think we'll kick off. So hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Joanne Mark Jones and I'm the head of content here at Charity Digital. I'll be the host throughout and would like to give you all a warm welcome to today's session. Please do introduce yourself in the chat, as I just mentioned, and let us know where you're joining from. So firstly, a really tiny quick introduction to Charity Digital. We're a registered UK charity and our mission is to help other charities increase their impact by using digital. Today's session is called AI for Nonprofits, Transforming Financial Management in an Era of Uncertainty, and is delivered by Hobby Dean, Senior Solutions Consultant at Sage. In the session, you'll expect to learn why AI matters now for nonprofit teams, finance teams, how AI improves accuracy, transparency, and decision-making, and we'll take a live look at AI and automation within the Sage Intacct system. Before I start, I just want to share a few house rules and pointers. Many of you will be familiar and nothing surprising here, but the session is being recorded and will be uploaded to watch on demand in a week's time. Slides will be shared with any resources that we've mentioned and will also be made available via email, and so we'll send them all to you if you miss anything. Closed captions are available for today's session. To enable these, in the button on the bottom of the Zoom window, click the up arrow and next to the closed captions, and then just click on show subtitles. If you have any issues there, let us know in the chat and we'll help with that. And similarly, during the session, please do ask lots of questions in the Q&A section, which you can see at the bottom of the Zoom menu bar, and Hobby can address those at the end of the presentation. If someone asks a question that resonates with you, you can click the little thumbs up arrow and that will upvote it, and then we'll ask those questions first so that we can get to the most important ones, most pressing questions. So finally, if you have any sound or image issues, let us know in the chat and we will do our best to get the session back to normal as soon as possible. That's all from me. I'm going to now hand you over to Hobby. Thank you, Hobby, and take it away.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Johan. And good afternoon, everybody. So as Johan said, what we're really going to be looking at is how AI can be beneficial to non-for-profit organisations, and also look at some of the practical experiences that I've come across and what some of our customers have also experienced as well. So as Johan said, what we're going to be looking at is why AI is really important to not-for-profit teams. And I'll go over some practical issues that I've been coming across with various NFP organizations. Also utilizing AI as well, and how it can actually help you improve your accuracy, transparency and decision making. And then also I'm going to show you a demonstration of how Sage Intacct utilizes artificial intelligence as well, and maybe give you a sneak preview of what's also coming as well. Essentially, AI does matter for not-for-profits. I remember, interestingly enough, coming to a presentation with Charity Digital nearly 2 years ago. And there was this lovely presentation by a gentleman from WPNC. And this is what he talked about even back then. And I remember being new to Sage, being new to the whole concept of AI, thinking, oh, what is this new gadget, new gizmo that everyone's talking about? And it was really important because I picked up on the fact that he was saying, look, hang on, first and foremost, everyone's role is safe. And I know there's a lot of hype about, AI taking jobs away and things like that. I've not seen that totally yet. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I know in the not-for-profit sector, it's actually, being a backup tool to help you with various activities. But what he also highlighted is it's important that you ask the question and to get the right answers you're looking for as well. So I'm not going to give you a heavy technical session in today's part. It's just really just to sort of highlight how you could possibly use it. And it was really interesting because he did talk about understanding your donors, getting more analysis out. And since then, if I'm honest, I have been using AI a lot, and you're going to see an example of that in this presentation as well. But what it got me thinking and talking to a lot of not-for-profit organizations, it showed me that in not-for-profit, it's really valuable because of lack of funding. you can't hire the resources to help with other parts of the system. Maybe let's go and research and find out where our donors are, where they're not, who's our best type of donor, what's the profile of our donors. It allows you to do things like that. So the point that you haven't got funding means that you can't always recruit those resources. So it's a great asset to actually help you with that. And also, I worked with a group of CFOs a year ago as well, and they were telling me, not for profit nowadays, it's not just that they are head of the charity. They're doing lots of areas and lots of responsibilities that weren't their traditional roles. They're responsible for IT kit, they're responsible for recruiting and other aspects. So when they don't know what they don't know, they'll type in the messages into things like ChatGPT, Copilot tools and things like that to find out, what am I supposed to do? What are the legal requirements for me to do in that particular area? And it also helps you to do things like keep your finger on the pulse. Some of the charities that I have the privilege of working with, obviously we want to get more sponsors and organizations on board, and ChatGPT certainly is one of the tools, but obviously other tools are available. They can actually do the due diligence on that organization or that individual to see, what are their real credentials, maybe things that they wouldn't traditionally have advertised to you in the past. And now by doing a search, you can actually find out more and more information about that organization. I give you a real example. I was working with an organization who on the surface looked amazing, but because of AI, I was able to find out purely by accident there was a criminal past involved in that. And thank heavens I did that, because it meant I wasn't going to get engaged with that organization, because that could have damaged my reputation. And you think, well, wow, if AI can help you with things like that, that's really powerful, because you want to make, one of the things I've always said when I've had the pleasure of talking to you all is, do your due diligence, make sure that the alliances you're forming are legit. So it's all about asking the right questions in the right way. And AI not for profit allows you to do a lot of that. So, a case in point. So, I did this in AI, and I didn't want to tidy it up, put it into slides and things like that, which I know I can, just to show you, depend upon what tools you use and emphasis on the what tool you use, you can put in basic questions. So this section I literally put into chat GPT, and it came up with a number of answers for me. So it did give me an offer, you'll see at the end, to create a slide deck for me or create other things. And that's how, even as a user, I've seen it evolve. Before, it would have just given me the answers and then I have to do something with it, but it's moving so quick. So in real terms, and I've seen this, and you're going to see this in the demonstrations, it can get rid of the boring items for you, the boring, automate some of the tasks that you would expect a computer can do that for you, and removing that time consuming tasks. So you're going to see that the one I'm going to show you is around invoice processing. And you can do approvals, but also things like data entry, donor record updates, etc. Also enhancing budgeting and forecasting. More and more organizations are using AI to sort of say, well, this is my budget and this is what I'm forecasting. Is there anything else happening in the market or around the world that I need to be mindful of or make extra provisions for? And again, I know very well I'm being very generic there. The more precise you get, the more accurate information you get coming back the other way. Because as we all know, I think it was at the start of this year, and I'm not being political here, but just to demonstrate a point, Trump obviously stopped access to US aid. So people were doing a lot of research to say, well, okay, if I don't get this money, where else can I go? What other sources are available to me? So they were able to make alternative plans using that evidence. And that's the beauty of starting to use AI. Also, managing your grants is becoming more and more important as well. It can actually highlight anything that maybe a particular funder didn't want you to do. It can highlight any compliance risks for you as well. Make sure the money is only being used in the way that it needs to be used as well. This one I can definitely verify because I used this a couple of webinars ago for Charity Digital, where I talked about the fact that, you know, who are my best people that would typically donate to me, what regions and what kind of things should I be focusing on, you know, would they most likely give me a one-off donation, or would they most likely give me a continuous donation? And this will also help you put your strategy together. Now, why am I using AI to do that? Because unfortunately, I can't get the funding to get a specialist person to help me with that. So as long as you measure exactly what you're getting, verify the facts, this is something you can actually do yourself and have AI work with you to create campaigns and put messages out there as well. There's also an element of risk monitoring and fraud detection, certainly in the not-for-profit. Anybody that came to webinars that we actually ran as Sage will know that I had the National Cybersecurity Organization actually come on board and talk to us about, you know, what organizations need to do. And this is going to that next level. It's about how to detect fraud in your own transactions that are sitting on your own system. Obviously, we've got things like approval routes, etc. But the idea is you can have more intelligent tracking of things that are going on. And you see more of that in the financial sector. But like everything with AI, it moves into other sectors as well. And again, there was so much more, but why I wanted to show you this is in its crudest form, that's what I got out of the system. Now, what was different to when I was using this maybe a year and a half ago is I would literally wouldn't even necessarily get a summary. But now, not only do I get a summary from using AI, but it can also create different items for me. So it can create an article or a blog. It could create a presentation. I'll be honest, my personal preference is, even though I can give it a template and say, please, could you put it in there? It doesn't look aesthetically nice, or it'll generate icons offline and then you've got to do that. But I am fully aware that that's all being enhanced, and the powers that be are actually changing that, also creating white papers for you as well. So it's really good in terms of putting things forward for like your leaders, etc. And throughout, whenever you use AI, you've always got the ability to provide that feedback. And feedback is really important, because whether you're looking on the web or whether you're looking at your own internal AI facilities, it's really important that you make it clear, yes, I'm happy with the results, verify the results. First few times, always fact check, depending on what you're asking. And if the material is wrong, you can tell the system why the material is wrong, and therefore it learns. So depending upon which tools you're using, you'll see it changes quite drastically as well. So I wanted to show you this, and I know for a fact if I'd done the same question 18 months ago, it would look different again. So the most important thing is use AI as a support tool. This clearly was going out onto the web. Be aware that sometimes be careful where you ask the question. Some of you, if you've got AI attached to your Microsoft suite of products, obviously other products are available as well, you'll see right at the top, it will actually say, is it a work environment or is it the web? The reason I wanted to highlight that is you could ask an innocent question. If you publish the results, they could accidentally go out onto the web. So there's more and more security kicking in to make sure that you only send the right information to the web, if at all. But ideally, more and more organizations are respecting the boundaries of what you need to do internally. So as I was saying there, I've kind of preempted some of the things I was saying there. Be careful what tools you use. It's really important that you use the right tools. I've even done ChatGPT, Sage Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, Google tools as well, and they've all given me different information. The reason for that is because they're all sometimes using different data sources. So be mindful of that as well, and make sure that you're always fact checking. Make sure your data is accurate, that your reference is accurate and up to date, and is is relevant as well, because a lot of the earlier models, they're still data cleansing the information that's in there, and it could give you the wrong reading, etc. So all the AI organizations are making sure their data sources are valid. And also, ask the way you ask the question, everyone's changing the models, whether it's in products like mine or whether it's on Sage Copilot or Microsoft Copilot, to make sure that it can intelligently use natural language to decide how it's going to answer your different questions. But in the early days, always verify the facts until you feel comfortable with that. So here's an example of how Sage AI is actually using um, artificial intelligence. So what we do is, when we apply Sage Intelligence, we are ensuring that, one, it has to be a support tool. It can't just go rogue. It can't just kind of, everything has to be validated and make sure it matches what's in the system. And it has to be an aid that supports the finance team. So anything that comes out of our portfolio has to support the finance team and has to demonstrate a real benefit. So across here, I've got things like main titles. This is not a definitive list. One thing I can say, and I know it's not just true for Sage, I think it's true for a lot of other products in the market. Unlike other solutions, you used to have a roadmap that might be a year, 18 months, 2 years. Now, that could be every 3 months. It could be even sooner than that, when people are ready to start activating more AI itself as well. So our main headings tend to be like, it's got to boost efficiency. So what are we doing to boost efficiency and save time? It's got to help you spot opportunities and problems earlier, and then get instant answers, and also help with month-end closures, because sometimes that can take time. So we pick in main topics, and there's more than this. And if you invite me along to do another session, you'll see even in 3 months, that will change again. But things like boosting efficiency, and I'm going to show you some of these as well. Everyone is used to OCR and reading documents and making sure that we can create an invoice or document on the system. Where we're different is, sometimes that was great and that would save something like 60 to 80% of your time. But then you still had to check the coding was correct. You still had to make sure that, hang on, is this configured in the right way? Have I got everything I need? Well, again, artificial intelligence kicking in, certainly to our solution, means I can automatically calculate the coding for you based on the rules you've given me. So you're going to be able to see a bit of that. Intelligent times, certainly when people are doing timesheets, the chances are, we can always suggest timesheet entries rather than just duplicating what you had before. It can look at information about, maybe in my calendar and other tools that I'm using, to say, okay, based on what Hobby was doing here, we can now assign a timesheet, etc. Things like outlier detection. This is where I can flag something not quite right with my journals. Of course, you can enter journals on the system, and then a manager or a colleague can actually check it's valid. Now, they don't know if the amount is unusual for that kind of posting. They don't know whether the coding is right or whether it's an unusual coding. They have to take everything that they see on trust, and they're just making sure everything is right. Of course, they can always go back and say, hang on, are you sure? But the system will highlight it for them and make it obvious for them that, hang on, this is an unusual posting. I'm not sure this is valid. Things like cash predictions. So this one is coming soon. We've any of these that I'm talking about coming soon are coming soon, like literally within days or weeks. And the reason for that is we've got a control group that works with us at Sage, who are actual customers who are part of a program and trying and checking out the real experiences they would need to go through to get the best out of that tool. So if it says coming soon, it's already there, but we just got pilot groups making sure it's all doing the right things that it needs to do. Getting answers, the most common thing everyone wants to access on a system is better utilization of the help. I don't want to go down structured routes and things like that. I want to find out, I just want to type in a question and the system helps me. And again, things like advanced search, we talked there about I said earlier about making sure you have the right prompts, etc. This is saying, well, just use straightforward English. You don't have to say, video on, can I please have a video on XYZ? You just say video on, and it will actually show you all the information it has within the system to support you. And if it's not in the system and you've created your own videos, it can search that area. This is what I mean about how far does that search go? Where do you want it to go? And then also month end. I've yet to find an organization where month end is not stressful. So we're doing a number of activities to help with month end processing to make that simpler within the system. So these are just the ones I'm allowed to advertise presently. There's at least another 4 in the background that are going through some more tests. So the one thing I wanted to highlight is even in my world, things are coming out so frequently. I'm on to my knowledge, there's about 5 iterations of this in just 1 year. That's how fast AI is moving. So what I was going to do is literally take you into the demonstration and show you how some of these items work. So if I just take you into this system here, there we go. So hopefully now you can all see a dashboard. So we're looking at Sage Intacct. This is the system I have here. Now we have AI built in a number of ways. So for example, start off on the basics. I've got a full help system here. So when I'm looking for help in Sage Intacct, I've got access to video help, I've got access to the release notes that I've got out there, and I've got access to training. Now, traditionally, I would go down to the training modules and then drill down into which area do I specifically want to look at. Alternatively, what I can do is literally come back here and I can say, right, I want to search the system. So here you can see it's asking some basic questions that just to help you understand. I can just say, unfortunately, I'm still very polite when I'm asking questions. Do you have a video for GL entry? So I can just ask a question, but all my colleagues keep saying, "Oh, but you don't need to worry about that. Just ask it what you need to ask." But I'm still a please and thank you girl. But that I'm sure I'll get out of that. What that's doing is it literally goes and trawls through the whole textual help and the video help, and then comes up with ideas for you. So you can turn around and say, right, oh, okay, there is a video for importing, there's a video for approving. You can also set up journals. So not only does it give you that help, you've also got links to the different videos as well. So the way we search for help is really easy. So I bring it to you rather than you having to go and search the other way. So that's one thing that we can do. And we're going to come back to this in a second. One of the things I was talking about was things like fraud detection and aspects like that. On my system, I've bookmarked a couple of transactions. So as the approver, I just get a journal given to me and I can go into that journal and straight away it will tell me, hang on, something is not right with this journal. I found something unusual. And if I scroll down, so here's the journal header. And if I now look at my transaction, it's telling me there's a coding problem. And as I hover over it, you can see it's literally telling me, hang on, I've never used that department code with that particular account. So if I was to go ahead and approve it, that's a legit inquiry or that's a legit transaction. But you think about the times you're approving journals, you would not know that necessarily. So, of course, if it's a posting, it might still be a valid posting combination, which you can set up in the system, but it kind of brings to your attention, hang on, the coding might be wrong. So that was one aspect. Another aspect I wanted to show you, but hang on a second. What if the amount was wrong? Would the system tell me again? So here's another journal, very similar. And funny enough, on my examples, it's always payroll. And now it's telling me, hang on, the amount, I've never had to post this amount against this account code combination. So the system is literally telling you where it's got issues and where it's got problems as well. So typically you would switch this on about 3-4 months after you've done all your adjustments and everything is now just run of the mill and there shouldn't be anything unusual here. And the idea is you can actually approve or decline, and we're doing more and more around here to detect patterns of users and things like that. So watch this space as well. On top of this, we've also got the ability to read in invoices. So as I was saying before, in terms of boosting productivity, everybody can already, there's a lot of solutions out there that can actually read an invoice, link it to a purchase order, as you can see here, and I can view that transaction. So it's just coming up on the screen now. I did put money in the meter, I promise you. So what it does is, if I open up that attachment, in this example, obviously it's extracted all the information from the invoice, uh, linked it to the purchase order as well. So you get the ability to check whether that was valid or invalid. And if you wanted to change that, you can change that, because obviously we living in the real world, we know sometimes suppliers can get that wrong accidentally. And then because it's linked to a purchase order, even though the invoice that I receive from the supplier, they may not necessarily know how I pad that information out, but I will know as the organization. So I can then automatically, if it's order related, I can then take that information and populate the details from the order. But if it wasn't, I can actually put that in myself. So again, the difference that you're getting in a lot of OCR products that are out there will automatically read the invoice. But then what we're doing as Sage Intacct is we're populating the coding structure if it's relevant for that particular transaction. So here is one where I've got the purchase order, and if I scroll across here, you can see I've got all the details of that particular purchase order on there. Alternatively, what I could have done was, if it was purely invoice related, so here I've just got one that's invoice related, I can come into here and then again fill in the code, because this has got VAT on this as well. No, not this one. So I picked the wrong one. Bear with me. This one has got VAT on it. It will intelligently read that, the VAT code, and make sure all the tax amounts are already involved in that. And again, you get the attachments. And what we're also looking at as we speak is automatically routing that to the right people as well, to make sure all the right signatories are kind of approve that through the system itself as well. And what we do is, if it's not got a purchase order next to it, you would typically put the information in on day one, and it learns every 24 hours. And then the more you use it, the more the system starts to take that away. So as we were saying, depending on whether you're uploading invoices into the system, whether the invoices are coming to you through email, there's already a benefit saving there. But then you get the additional benefit saving using AI, where it will attempt to automatically code some of the transaction lines there for you as well. So again, another example of how we're using AI. On top of that, I talked earlier about the fact that, month end can be quite stressful for lots of people for various reasons. So what you can also do is, again, we're using AI to help us close various periods and making sure all our transactions are properly managed before the period end, rather than having a mad panic literally leading up to it. So I can come in here, choose which period I want to close. If you're in an organization that you've got multiple entities or multiple companies, that's fine. You might have a charity arm, trading arm. It's intelligent enough to know, okay, do you want me to do this overall, or do you want me to do it entity by entity? And and it will be able to do that. So as soon as you tell it what period you want it to work on, you literally tell it, right, off you go. Can you create all the different actions for me? And then what the system will do is, and you can have different owners for each of the different areas. You can actually constantly review your unposted transactions. So you don't have to wait till the end of the period or near the end of the period. You can proactively be looking at that. You can prepare any reconciliation that you might want to use. You can close the accounts payable module when you're good and ready. And you can obviously repeat that for each of the different areas that you've got there as well. So again, you can have a look at that. If you wanted an overview in terms of how does that actually work, you can click on that, and it will give you an insight in terms of these are all the companies you got set up on the system, and here's a heads up in terms of when have you actually closing. Just for the record, this is a demo system. Obviously, I may not be closing this on a regular basis. So there's lots of features to be had here. One of the other things that we're just about to do is, if I just come back into here, look at this area and just close that down. One of the other things that's being tested as we speak now, at the bottom of my screen here, you can see I've got something called a working checklist. It's basically a glorified to-do list. And the idea is as you go into each one of these, you've got a number of tasks that you need to complete. So what the system will start doing, and it's in a pilot as I'm talking, I did ask if I could access it. And then if things are not being done in a timely fashion, the system is going to prompt you or prompt the relevant person to say, hey, can you crack on with this? You need to get this done as well. Now, everything I've shown you so far is me going in and me showing you, look, you can do X, Y, Z. But we have got things going on in the background that are more proactive the other way. So, for example, this screen that I accidentally teased you with a few seconds ago, I can have different department people and different controllers having emails to tell them something is not right. So you can see here, rather than me going on the system and find out I've exceeded my budget as usual, I can actually have the system alert me, and I literally go into Sage Intacct. And what that does, it takes me into my system. I literally go into my co-pilot. It was the insights that alerted me. I don't need to proactively do anything here. So let me go to the insight, and it's telling me actively the department has already exceeded the budget. And I can say, hang on, what do you mean? I can go into that and I can look at the details. So rather than me running the reports, the system is generating the reports and giving me the facts. So from here, I can see the budget has been exceeded. I can say, well, hang on, can you explain it to me? So the system will intelligently look at the information that you've got, explain it to you. If you wanted to look back and say, well, hang on, what was it like on the previous period? You can look at the previous period, including a chart, to sort of say, hang on, my budget was actually all right before. So what's going on? And I can even either drill through on the figures here, or I can say, can you just show me my full report so I can understand what's going on here? So this is where, certainly if you've got people that are not finance literate, it talks to them in a way that they can understand and say, hang on, this is why my budget has been exceeded. This is why I've got a problem. And it walks them through identifying issues with their own system itself as well. So there's going to be more of that. So if I was to demo to you again in, let's say, 3 to 6 months, you'll see there's more of that. And I'll probably start off with that as your baseline. And there's more proactive alerting of users on the system. But I wanted to show you this because it shows how far AI has come with finance systems anyway. So what we can do is, I'm just going to jump back to our presentation. So I talked earlier about the fact, okay, you've got all that AI within the tool, and there's lots of benefits to be had there. But what we've done is we've done some analysis on some of our own customers and how they've been using, and this is global. This is not just UK as well. But we've started to find how many transactions have actually been processed using AI, how many more invoices are being automated, how much anomalies have been flagged as well, certainly on the GL side, because people typically didn't see those in an obvious fashion. the improvement in data accuracy, because artificial intelligence is sometimes automatically putting the data in that it knows should fit into that. That's also improving accuracy, and the expectation is that's going to go even more. How many admin hours have been saved as well? Certainly, just looking at the AP automation and the way we've done that, as I was saying before, originally just using straight OCR and emails, it was like 60 to 80%. Now we're looking at 90% upwards in terms of efficiency saved as well. And I thought it'd be useful because there's so much terminology around AI. I just thought I'd highlight some of the general terms that everyone's hearing, like the native, like accurate and authentic AI. And you'll start hearing more and more terminology. I go into it every day because I'm part of an AI group, and I hear another new term almost every day coming at me, at least one term, if not more. So what we're doing at Sage, and every product out there is slightly different. As I said at the beginning, it's all about making sure that the tool we provide within our solution is a support act. It's making sure it does the mundane activities that you just need somebody else to do, where you may not necessarily have a resource. The system is proactively helping you make those decisions, like proactively telling you your budget has gone over, what do you want people to do? And there's more and more of this coming out, so watch the space, if you like, with Sage. So just before I open it up for questions and things like that, it's very clear to me, and certainly how I've seen AI evolve, very beneficial to finance teams and certainly not for profit, because there is a problem with resources. It is hard to get enough resources to do all the things you need to do, all the planning, making sure you're doing the right thing, making sure you're complying to the latest standards. And you can, like, for example, SORP's coming out, I think it's in 3 weeks' time. So am I ready for SORP, and what do I need to get ready? Using AI and asking AI to say, what do I need to do as a charity organization to do that? Always verify, because depending on where you ask the question, there might be an old SORP database sitting there. It might give you the wrong information. So if you ask it to verify, it will tell you what the source is to make sure it's correct. But again, within the system, as you saw with the help, that's going to be extended across all the modules and everything that you can see within the actual product, not just in help. So there's a lot of support and help for you there. Different solutions will offer different capabilities. I'm really pleased how all the finance suppliers of software are all finding different applications for how you can use AI. I'm proud of what we're doing, but there's also some other products out there that are doing more of that cash forecasting and where can I get money? What can I do with the source? But, it's only a matter of time where we're all eventually going to be on the same page. Unlike previous solutions, and when you change software, the landscape in this situation is going to change quite rapidly. As I said, even I've seen 5 changes just on our AP automation, how it's learning and how we've evolved it, etc. So there's more and more of that coming forward as well. But the most important thing, even today, I would still say, please, please always fact check. Because as I said before, when I tried it out with different databases, one database gave me a completely different representation to another one. And when I asked both of them to verify, one could, but it was dated information, and the other one could as well, but it was newer information. And that was why the 2 items were really powerful. And practical experiences of people using AI. Don't be scared of it. Take your time, learn it. Because I always thought, when I was playing with it, I have to do really complicated prompts to find out about, should I do business with this company or not? But you can ask questions as you're going along. Ask it to do the first bit, then ask it to do the second bit, ask it to do the third bit. A real example that I saw probably about 6 months ago, there was a pharmaceutical company put out this, and everyone's thinking about their ESG agenda right now as well, depending upon your size. They put out this paper that, hey, we're ethical with this, with that, why wouldn't you do business with us? And for the purpose of this webinar, this individual who's really passionate about ESG said, look, on the surface, doesn't this look wonderful? Actually made the search in front of everybody and showed that there was lots of greenwashing within that report. So the moral of the story is use AI wisely, but also be careful what's out there. Maybe now's the time to start thinking about checking the accuracy of the data that's out there about you. And under GDPR rules, you can always ask for some of those facts to be fixed and to be changed, etc. as well. Okay. And just before I open it up to questions, hope you've enjoyed the presentation today. My name's Hobby. If you want to drop me an email, please feel free. My QR code will take you straight into dropping an email in there for me. But otherwise, I'd like to open it up for questions. So over to you guys.
Hello. Thanks so much, Hobby. That was brilliant.
No worries, thank you.
Loads and loads of questions from me, and certainly I'm sure everyone else will have some. If you could pop them in the question Q&A section now, and remember to upvote if they're in there. I'm gonna start by asking, so what are Sage doing to ensure the ethics and quality of what is produced using their AI?
So that's a really good point, because what's happening is we've got our own ethics board. I'm part of one of the ethics board to say how are we using the information, what sources are we looking at, and things like that. So we've got various representations, not just part of Sage, but the wider group as well, because we know how important it is. Why I said right at the last point, make sure the data that is about you is accurate and is up to date, because people are going to make decisions on that information specifically. So, and also when you're making those inquiries, be careful where you're publishing the results, because you could think, oh, this is just an internal report, and accidentally post it onto the web, and that will cause quite a few issues. We also have real customers that are working with us that use our product to say how best and how it should be, how best AI works in their particular scenarios. So we've got a complete range. We've got not-for-profit organizations, financial institutions, healthcare organizations. So make sure that we are making sure we're ethical. We don't want to be one of these, oh, be careful, don't use Sage, because they trawl the internet in all the wrong places to give us the information.
Yeah, someone's asked, do they need a separate software to use the AI?
So the way we've positioned it so in the market, the answer to that could be yes. In the market with Sage Intacct, what we do is they're all extras modules sometimes, like the outliner where I showed you the GL, where it was picking up on the coding and things like that. That's just bundled in. We expect that to be normal day-to-day activity. So it really depends on what it is you're looking for. Some of the things that we provide are standard. They're not even up for debate. They're just standard. They're included in the cost. The more complicated and the more advanced, those tend to be extras, but you just buy them like another module. Nothing complicated beyond that.
Right. It's an interesting, maybe slightly technical AI question. Does the AI, you showed in the demonstration where the AI basically answered questions based on, a prompt. How does it have recall ability? So, for example, if you ask the question for people, this is probably for people who aren't as particularly financially savvy, but that seemed to be a massive benefit of the system. If you asked a question 4 months ago about a certain aspect of finances, incongruities or something, would it remember that and be able to sort of hark back to it? Is there that sort of recall memory?
Again, depend upon the tool you use. The answer is yes, because whenever I'm doing inquiries, I do have a memory. I have them saved in memory areas. So yes, you can. But even that's been looked at, because what it's also doing is you ask this, one of the tools I use, it said, you asked this question last week. Do you want me to give you the same answer I did last week? Or do you want the state of play as of today? So yes, that is possible. And interesting enough, we were thinking, and I'm happy to you guys to give me the feedback. What we're thinking of doing is keeping all the past inquiries, as you said, categorized into different areas, like this is to do with the general ledger, or this is to do with
Mm,
accounts payable. And then instead of people going to the menu options going, please can I have a report on XYZ, can I have that report because you did it before, but do you need it up to date? And it just gives you the results up to date as well. But there
mm.
is more concept about saving previous prompts and previous questions, but prompts are changing all the time at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. That's super useful. With the adoption of AI, what's happening to the roadmap or what's happened to the roadmap?
So what's really different, and I've highlighted it a couple of times, I've worked with software all my career, and it was like you could guarantee that you could like get a new release every 18 months or every 24 months, and then you've got a steady period. With the advent of artificial intelligence, things are changing literally days and weeks. I
Mm,
saw something on Monday to do with our product. It's already moved on, and we're already on Thursday, and everyone's like, can you vote for this? Can you see what's happening? That would have been like a 3-4 month window. So all companies, including Sage, are making sure the base system is okay, but AI is evolving all the time, and our amazing developers are trying to find new, slicker ways to do the same things that we always do. So that's what I would say in terms of timelines and things like that.
brilliant. Thanks so much. There again, just a reminder to put the questions. I can see a hand up, but if you just pop the question in the Q&A section, that would be super useful. Next one is now this is going to be a tough one, but can you touch on the most important elements of AI? So you mentioned native, accurate, and authentic, and you mentioned the shifting landscapes. Where do you think charities should be looking, and what might be next?
That is a finger in the air job, definitely. I think there's a lot more generative AI coming through now. For those that don't know, generative is where it doesn't just work on a set of rules, it tries to come up with some more new ideas and things like that. So I think that model is going to evolve to whatever its new name is going to be. But because native AI used to just be, a bit like playing chess was the best example I had. The computer knows how to play chess, it knows
Mm,
the rules and it knows where the movements go, but that's it. Whereas generative AI is saying, well, hang on, I need to react to more than just the standard rule book. And in terms of finance, there are new standards going to be emerging. There's going to be better ways in which I prompt users. I'm prompting not at lastminute.com. I'm prompting way before that. I'm prompting why have you not approved things sooner rather than later? Is there a problem with your approvals? Is it because you can't access? So it's going to start evolving into a more holistic view of things rather than I need to do a journal. How do I do the journal? And off you go. It's like, hang on, well, the journal has to be there because otherwise you can't get your actual reports out. And certainly when you're reporting to people like the boards, and the trustees, where they need to know, hang on, is it just this, or is there anything else I need to factor in? That you can now start allowing market influences. I think in certain industries they've always done that, but I
mm.
think in not for profit it's becoming more and more prominent itself as well.
Bro. And we saw from the slides the savings were quite well impressive. Is that real? Can you provide any like more detail on that?
Yeah, one that is real. It is based on a lot of what our customers have done. So as I was saying earlier, when we first introduced AP automation without the AI, the idea was it would intelligently read the document, and when you uploaded it, the invoices, you got like 60 to 70%, or maybe even 80%. But if you loaded it from an email, it was more likely 80 to 90% efficiency. Now with AI, you're almost both methods are allowing you to be at 90 odd percent efficiencies, because the bits you used to do once the information was uploaded, then you always had to tweak it, change some of the information. Now it's actually changing the information it's learned that you're typically changing. So therefore it's making it a lot easier to kind of make those adjustments and things like that. So now you can have the invoice uploaded, the coding already set up for you, and then the next stage will be under certain circumstances, do I really need an approval? Because if it does this, this, and this, why do I need it to go through another approval while still maintaining integrity and segregation of duty responsibilities?
Bro, we still got a few minutes if anyone wants to pop any questions in, and it can be broadly based on finance and AI, if Hobby might know the answer. We have one on the skills charities need to develop. So I guess this is about the, well, it's a changing landscape, and things are different now than they were even a year ago.
Yeah,
What are the skills? And I think this is aimed towards maybe smaller charities who
agree.
often run their own finance without much. They're not finance professionals, they're small
True.
charities. What would you say they need to develop with bearing this in mind with these new tools to hand?
Okay. So believe it or not, I'm going to point you to AI itself anyway. So you can type in what's the key things I need to know as a small not-for-profit organization that would really benefit me. So I've done that in a former webinar where you just go into ChatGPT and say, how do I position uh, AI to small charities? And it would say things like, it would ask me for qualifications. What do you mean by small charities? Do you mean this, this, and this? So people can then go in and it will target them. But you remember I said about verifying, because sometimes it will still come up with a generic answer and you don't know if it's going to be relevant to you. Or you can say, what is it that charity X does that I could also do? Because it's got that intelligence database, people can ask more questions that you may never ask. If you went to the CEO or the CFO of another charity, they probably may or may not want to share some information with you. Now it's all in public domain. As long as you access the right data source, you can access that. There's a lot going on. I can talk about some of the things. We're working with some AI organizations that are independent, nothing to do with Sage or any of the other suppliers. And they're also putting out material to help educate all businesses on AI, what the benefits are, what the benefits aren't. LinkedIn, if you're all on LinkedIn, have a look on that. There's some great material on there as well. The government themselves are running various initiatives. There's a company I'm working with at the moment, AI Collaborative, who are a new established organization in the UK who are just putting out what everybody needs to know about AI. So be careful because you can get AI overload. So that's why I said measure what you think you need to do. When I was lucky enough to be at that first presentation with Charity Digital, that guy was great. He said, even just put something together like a PowerPoint. I want to put this idea forward to my CFO. How do I do this? Forget about using the system and things like that. I shouldn't say that. Don't tell my bosses I said that about Sage Intacct. But it's about, how can I use AI to benefit me and take it to the next level? So take it in a piecemeal. And the more you start playing with it, the more you realize how advantageous it really is.
Mm. I mean, our next
Always
question,
fact check. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, our next question kind of leads on that, which is if you are to, because I think that a lot of other people have said this too, when they're using AI, they're actually just going and almost trialing something,
Yeah.
embracing that trial and error without any sensitive or important information there. What would your advice be there? Like, how do you take that first step? Because that is actually something we get asked over and over again because
Yeah.
people are there's this barrier to
The,
actually starting.
yeah.
So what would your advice be there?
So I would always say, you can use the example I did. I
Mm,
was like, I know, like, I love theatre, for example, and I said, something simple like, yeah, what plays are on in London?
hmm
And yes, of course, I could have done that. But then you sit there going, but I specifically want to go into this region. I
mm,
specifically want to look that. So you're asking questions. The only reason for that is not because partly it's my interest, but also you know a lot more than AI at that point. So you
mm,
should, in theory, know what the system, and it's going to give you confidence to sort of ask the questions when it comes to work as well.
mm,
So like, when I'm doing presentations, I'll say, well, what I did an event on Monday, Tuesday this week. It was a new event. I've never been to it. Didn't know the makeup of the people that were going to be there. And I just said to AI, what would be the best presentation? This is the message I want to get across, but what it's for this event. this is and I said, I don't know who's going to be there, can you help me? And it literally came back and said, well, it's an NHS event, so the chances are you're going to have clinicians according to the agenda. And it also then just reeled out a few things purely demonstrating who the audience was. And I was quite impressed because I kept what it told me and what I felt I had to do because I've got NHS experience,
Mm.
and it wasn't far off the truth. And I kept saying, verify, verify, get me facts, get me this. And it was really, really good. And the thing is, you don't have to put a really long, complicated string in. You just say, what are the theatres? Narrow that down. It will actually help you and say, would you like to know this? Do you remember when I did that slide where it says, what would you like me
Mm.
to do next? It will actually help you and prompt you. So don't be scared. Nothing's going to, if you ask innocent questions, nothing's going to go into the wrong places.
Yeah. So just
Try.
go and go with what you know, I
Yeah, you've
suppose.
got nothing to lose. Just ask the questions that you know for a fact to almost give yourself the confidence.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. So thank you so much, Hobby, for a brilliant
No problem.
presentation. And thank you so much to everyone who's attended and for the questions. On a related note, we do have our Charity Digital Academy training, which is specifically on practical uses of AI for your charity. So that might be helpful for some people. And that's next Tuesday on the 16th of December. We'll pop a link in the chat. But otherwise, thanks once again to Hobby and everyone else. Thanks so much.